Hello, tea family, and how are you this evening? Welcome to everyone joining us for the first time, or welcome back to those of you in the tea family who've joined us for lives before. Just to go over kind of what's going on. First, feel free to say hello and put in the chat what you're drinking, if you're drinking tea, or even if you're not, that's okay. But say hello. Now, today is our big question and answer session. So also I want you to go ahead and put any questions you have that you want me to answer in the chat or in the comments, depending on how you're viewing this. All right. And today I'm going to go ahead and get started with the water, although it should heat up pretty quick, because what we are going to be making is something not quite available yet. All right. Today we've started to package up and get ready for next month, a peeling. That's right, it's almost time for a peeling. This is a seasonal blend. It is available from September through Thanksgiving.
Yay.
Although normally we'll actually have it be available through the end of November, but this is September, October, and November only. And it is a black tea, freeze-dried apple and cinnamon blend, which is always delicious. And so we want to make sure, again, appealing is what we're making today. Here is what it looks like when you take it out. So we're going to be making a peeling. It's not ready yet for everybody to purchase, but it will be soon because it's almost September. And once September comes, it is time for a peeling. So I thought I would do something a little different and make it tonight as we're starting to package everything up. We've got a couple of big shows coming up. Okay, my 2.5. All right, so welcome everybody. Obviously, if you have anything that you want to say hi or share what you're drinking, please put it in the chat or the comments. That's the word. That's the word I was looking for, but it wasn't coming to me. But I'm excited to be making a peeling. I have not had a peeling since December or January. I mean, I know I have the ability to make the tea at any point in time, but I typically don't. What's really cool about this particular batch of a peeling is these are apples that my handy dandy and assistant and I actually got in New England during apple season last year and then freeze dried them so that we would have apples at the peak of perfection. So I am super, super excited. All right. There we are. And I'm going to put this down here so we don't have to look at that all night, and set my timer. It is a black tea, so 3 minutes on the clock. And all right, I am just super excited. I cannot wait. Now, normally I say, hey, if it's a freeze-dried fruit, add a minute. Well, I only do that with the green teas because otherwise it's only a minute. But with a black tea, you can go ahead and do 3 minutes for the first brew like you normally do. All right. Well, hello, Stephanie. She's got a hot onyx chai for her this afternoon. It is chilly. It's been in the 70s here, which for August is weird because we should still be in the hundreds. I know there are a lot of my friends that are very excited that it's still cool out. I am not one of them. I want the hot weather in the summer. I want the snow in the winter. I want the cool nights and hot days in the spring and fall. I like having my seasons. I think it's because I grew up in New England. So, all right. Well, tonight we're going to be answering questions. So again, put them in the comments or in the chat, and I am really looking forward to it. We're going to go ahead and get started with our first question of the night. All right. First question. What's the difference between green tea and matcha? This is a really good question. There's a lot out there about that Japanese matcha tea, and a lot of people like it, and that is wonderful. Green tea is made from the leaves of the Camellia sinensis plant. They have been typically steamed or pan fired to prevent oxidation so that they can't oxidize and become black. It preserves both their green color and their fresh flavor. A lot of times it's kind of a more herby flavor to it. So green tea is brewed typically by uh, steeping the entire whole leaf or a broken leaf in hot water, and that's what green tea is. Now, matcha is actually a type of green tea. However, it is very unique because it is actually made from a finely ground powder. Okay, and the powder um, has the leaves for the powder have been specifically grown and processed. They are green tea leaves. It is typically, most of the matchas come out of Japan, although it could technically come from someplace else. Cool thing about the matcha tea leaves, uh, the matcha plants are actually shaded for several weeks prior to the harvest. This increases the chlorophyll in them, which creates much more of a vibrant green color. So when you drink the matcha tea, you're actually consuming the entire leaf that has been just turned into a powder, which means you typically get some more antioxidants, but much more caffeine compared to a regular green tea. Now, they're both green tea. Matcha is a specific kind that's been processed slightly differently. And then you take that powder and you typically whisk it up in the water, and that is how we do it. All right. Welcome, welcome to those of you on. Okay, Diane says white blossom tea, delicious, light, and fine flavor. Pat yourself on the back, Diane. You and Stephanie did a fabulous job with that white garden tea, that white blossom tea. That was really, really nice. I'm not seeing this stuff here. So, that was our first question on what the difference between green and matcha is. I know this has just been boiling 3 minutes ago, but it smells so good, and I have not had a peeling in so long. I'm like anxious to try it. Okay, so another question I got this week was, is it safe to drink tea every day? Yes, it is. Generally, it is. It is even there are many that say it's beneficial to drink tea every day. When you actually look at studies, most of the studies have shown that regular tea consumption can offer some health benefits potentially. Some of the things that Google would tell you would be that there are those that claim it improves heart health, those that claim that it reduces certain types of cancer risk, aids in weight management, mental alertness, etc. However, those are all claims. I am not saying anything for medical reasons or and trying to advocate that. I am merely telling you what you could find on a Google or internet search on your own. Now, the thing to consider about drinking tea every day is if you drink tea every day, like everything, it should be in moderation. You should still be drinking your water. You should still be drinking other things as well. And if you have a reaction to caffeine, then it might not be healthy for you to drink caffeine or even caffeine every day. So there are some that when they have an excessive caffeine intake because they potentially drink too much coffee or tea, then they can have things like insomnia and jitteriness and digestive issues or different things. But that's typically for things that are sensitive, people that are sensitive to caffeine. Um, there are a lot of herbal or options that are better, but remember, like I've said before, you really need to watch out because not all herbal teas are caffeine free. Many are. I would even almost say most are, but there are some ingredients, and it depends on what they add to it because while some of the ingredients, the tea part of it might be caffeine free, like chamomile, other things that they add to it, like, I don't know, chocolate, might not be caffeine free. So you really have to watch and be careful. Okay, so I can't wait anymore. Oh, that is so good. It is burning hot, but it's so good. I am excited to be back drinking appealing tea. It is just a delicious. It's a really great fall blend, and that's since that's apple season. That's when we all love to get the apples. Like I said, these were freeze dried at the peak of perfection last year. We transported the apples from from New England all the way back to where we live here in Kansas. So okay, third question of the night that got sent to us is tea healthier than coffee? I can tell there's a lot of people that are looking, hey, what are the health benefits of tea? I can tell that people have been researching that, and that's a wonderful thing to look into. So is tea healthier than coffee? Well, both tea and coffee potentially have health benefits, but they have different advantages. So coffee is typically higher in caffeine, therefore it produces a stronger upfront energy boost. It does have, it is a source of antioxidants, which can be linked to potential health benefits. However, coffee consumption is typically can be very excessive for some. I won't mention any names, but that person over there was told to reduce his caffeine intake because he was drinking way too much coffee. And I know a lot of people who get in the habit of drinking coffee and then end up drinking way more coffee than they realize.
It was recommended, not demanded.
Okay, whatever. Um, and so you really have to watch because that can high amounts of coffee consumption have on according to Google have led to side effects like anxiety and dietary issues and things like that. So keep that in mind, but it does have some benefits as well. Now, tea, on the other hand, has, especially green and white tea, very rich in antioxidants. And because you're talking in white teas and green teas, much lower in caffeine, like extraordinarily lower in caffeine. Um, the antioxidants you'll find in a white or a green tea are catechins, which have been linked in certain studies to reduce certain kinds of chronic potential risk for certain kinds of chronic diseases. Again, these are all things that you could Google. I am not a health expert giving health advice here. I am just telling what you could find on Google. Tea generally has less caffeine, even if it is a black tea or an oolong tea, and is typically not as people who have a caffeine sensitivity are typically not as reactive to the caffeine found in tea. And typically, tea is actually associated with relaxation and stress reduction as opposed to um, being as wired as people talk about drinking coffee and getting wired, whereas they talk about tea and relaxing. So there are some benefits. If you just look at straight caffeine, tea is going to be more beneficial than coffee. But I know there's a lot of people out there who love coffee. I just never
Yay!
developed a taste for it. I have tried it a few times. To me, it's so bitter that I would have to add enough sugar that it is not going to be healthy for me at all. And I'm still not going to necessarily enjoy it. Basically, I'd be drinking coffee ice cream at that point, and even that might be a bit bitter at some point. So, um, a lot of people will split like Diane does, a coffee in the morning and then have tea in the afternoon. However you do it, but that's what came up because I know a lot of people, they're trying to decide, should I move from coffee to tea? I do drink tea. That is my source of caffeine in the mornings, but then there are days that I don't drink any caffeine because I'm doing a second or I'm doing a third brew on my black tea. And so yeah, I'm not really getting any caffeine at that point, virtually none. So I just particularly I prefer the taste, and I feel like there's so much more you can do with tea than you can do with coffee. Like I can blend a tea and I can pick a certain fruit or I can pick a certain savory herb and I can create different flavors. I know you can add like hazelnut or you could add almond or you could add flavorings to coffee, but it's not the same. It's coffee in my mind as someone who doesn't drink it, typically coffee tastes like coffee and there are nuances, but they're much more subtle than where we add other ingredients. So, all right. Diane has a question for the handy dandy assistant. Handy dandy assistant, is your doctor a witch doctor?
She's a meathead.
Did you hear that? The handy dandy assistant said that his doctor is a meanie head. She's actually a really nice lady. She used to be my doctor as well, and then
No, this is Dr. Sponsor.
oh, this is a different
She's
doctor. Sorry.
private VA.
So, um, no clear cut answer to that one, Diane. I'm sorry, I couldn't help you, but okay. So this is another one we've gotten at events and everything like that. And I always try and pick some of the big frequently asked questions. And one of the frequently asked questions that we get a lot is, what is chai tea? Well, first of all, let me stop because I have a friend whose parents are from India. Actually, I have a couple of friends whose parents are from India. And one of the things I will tell you is they almost roll their eyes a lot of the time when we here in the United States say chai tea because the word for tea is chai. So it's like saying tea tea. And we wouldn't say chai chai. We wouldn't say coffee coffee. You know, it doesn't sound right to their ear at all.
In
So
Iraq, tea is chai.
in Iraq, tea is chai. So there you go. It's not just in India. There are other places in the world where tea is called chai. That is the word for tea. So we're going to talk about chai and we're going to talk about chai blends. So a chai blend is typically associated with being from India. So you're going to have uh, black tea. A lot of people use like a masala tea, which is a kind of black tea, and then they use herbs, typical herbs in a chai blend. In a black tea chai blend would be cardamom, cinnamon, ginger, cloves, black pepper. Those are very common spices. They're very aromatic spices, which is part of the chai blend, kind of one of the things you look for. So that tea, when people make a chai blend, it is typically brewed with milk and sweetened with, say, sugar or honey more naturally, things like that. So that's what a traditional chai blend is. Now we have one. Ours does not have black pepper or it doesn't have ginger in it. We do not have ginger in our chai blends. However, uh, my good friend has said that she really enjoys our onyx chai, our black chai blend, because it reminds her of the one that some relatives have made. And we always take that as an honor because she enjoys it so much.
Cardamom was big in Iraq too for just regular tea and cardamom.
Okay, and so a handy dandy assistant is adding, and cardamom is very popular in Iraq to add to teas as well. So these are spices that, you know, a U.S. palate isn't as typically used to. They don't think of these kind of spices in tea. Think of them in pies or Thanksgiving or other foods, but not necessarily a tea blend. Now, what it does is those spices produce a really rich and spicy flavor. It typically is a very comforting, warm drink. Uh, in the United States, especially, but in other Western countries as well, the chai blend has come to mean a spiced blend with typically those cardamom, cinnamon, ginger, cloves, and black pepper.
Chai latte.
Um, but it, and so you find it in lattes, you find it in tea bags and loose leaf tea blends and different things like that. Now we have 3 chai blends, and each chai blend is completely different. We have a chai blend that is our onyx chai, that is a traditional black tea, and then the chai spices, so to speak. We did a jade chai, which is green tea, because a lot of people like green tea, but they choose to only drink green tea, or they might not want all the caffeine of a black tea, but they still enjoy that chai spice blend. And then we actually started our very first chai blend. Okay, so it was only supposed to be last year. It came in October or November.
I thought it was
It was
before the,
November.
it was before the
We
market.
we got it in. We started doing it. I think it went in October. It went out to our tasters, and then we actually added it the end of October because we had a couple of events that we did in November, and we kept running out. Like we did it, and we did one in Manhattan, and all of a sudden, boom, it was gone, and we had to try and make more to do one in Salina the next day, and we or the next weekend, and we were out, and what we had brought also sold. We could not make it fast enough for a while there because we kept running out, and we were like, good, I'm glad it was worth the wait because we took forever to try and really find. And that is our ruby chai. Our ruby chai is probably one of our top sellers. It is a completely caffeine free chai blend. We use rooibos as our base and then add the spices to it. But like I said before, each chai spice blend is different to match the black tea, the green tea, or the rooibos tea. You can't just say, okay, here's my chai blend and I'm going to put it with anything else. It doesn't come. You really have to still balance to what you're matching it with. But that ruby chai continues to be one of our best sellers. It was only supposed to be for November, December, and January. We did it like we were going to do it as a holiday blend, and then we were like, okay, this is one of our best sellers. So then ruby chai ended up getting added year round. Um, so that's kind of the story of how that one came and how we came up with that blend. One of the things that we found is when we kept adding the ginger was too much. It was overpowering a lot of the other spices, so we lost a lot of the other subtleties, which is why our teas, our chai blends don't have ginger in them. But okay, those were the questions that I had sent to me. Does anybody else have any other questions? And while you do, let me talk for a second. Next week, I already know what we're talking about. Next week, we are going to be talking about the top 10 tea blends across the world. And we're going to be making a mocktail together. I will tell you how to turn it into a cocktail if that's your thing. But we'll be making a mocktail together, and then we'll talk about the 10 most popular tea blends, which really are interesting because we'll go from number 10 to number 1 and find out what the most popular tea blend is, which is interesting because the most popular tea blend overall is not our best seller. Did you realize that, handy dandy assistant?
No.
No, the most popular tea blend in the world is not our best seller. It's one of our top sellers, but it is not our best seller. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. People don't know flavor.
People know what they like, and that's what the important part is. They know what they like. So I'm waiting. Just go ahead, enter your questions in there, and let's see. I talked about next week what we're going to be doing. Um, What do you think we should use as a base tea for our mocktail? So I want you to go ahead and you answer that question in the chat or comments. What tea do you think should be the base of our mocktail? We always have fun making mocktails. This one we'll have to see. If I like it too much, I won't let him steal it.
Sunset.
Sunset.
Or sunset tea. That was in the that was in the Christmas.
Well, the problem with that is if he wants us to use our Sunset Black, which is in our Advent set because it's one of the 24 teas for that set. But I don't want to use something that they can't get till then. And that is the other thing is we will be, yes, Stephanie, what the flavors are. Maybe a black tea since we're heading into fall. I absolutely agree.
It's still summer.
It's still, yeah, no, it's weird because it's like not quite the middle of August. We're still the beginning of August. It should be super hot when we shouldn't really be focused on fall as much. But the cooler weather lately has definitely made us thinking of fall. And especially with, that's why we're thinking, hey, we need to get started on appealing. We have a couple of shows and events that we'll be doing in September, and we need to have our appealing ready.
Because it appeals to people. Oh!
Although it is funny, I did have somebody come up and they looked at it, and so I'm going to show you the package again. Ready? It says, now can you see that clearly?
Hold on.
I have to wait for the delay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see that that says appealing, and I felt so bad. This person came up and they're like, Appling, and I all I could think of is nope, that's a city in Georgia, Appling, Georgia. No, but you don't want to correct them because they're trying to really like what's in that Appling tea, and we're like, oh well, it's this, this, and this, and we love the appealing tea. You know, it's a really fall blend, and tried to do it subtly, but she was just determined it was Appling tea, and so we just let it go because you don't want to correct someone, and you're like they're
Yes, I do.
okay, the handy dandy assistant wanted to correct her, but you want to be polite. But appealing. So while appealing is coming out, the other one that will be back soon, it won't be back till October, is the Mocha Mint. That one's coming up next. That's a cacao and kind of like a chocolate peppermint. I knew that that was going to happen. But that doesn't come out till October. But that does mean we're saying goodbye to two teas at the end of August. So I'm going to give you the heads up now. You're going to want to remember that come the end of August, Summer Kiss, which is our peach green tea blend, as well as Harmony, that is our green tea strawberry orange blend, will no longer be available. So if you were thinking that you wanted to stock up, now is the time. Because I'm ready for fall, people. I got my apple appealing tea and I am ready for fall. All right. Well, I didn't see any other questions come up. I talked about what we're going to do next week. I'm looking forward to it. So we're gonna do a black tea. I don't know. I guess I'll go in. Maybe we'll do something with an Earl's blend. Maybe we'll do something with an Earl's blend, or maybe the Afternoon Delight, which is a black tea hibiscus. One of those two. We'll have to see what we do. All right.
Irish coffee.
Okay, everybody. We're not making a coffee on a live about tea.
Irish tea.
On that note, I will see you all next Sunday. I look forward to it. If you have any opinions, just reach out to me, and because we will start probably playing around with experiments on the mocktail on Wednesday or Thursday. Other than that, have a great week, Tea Family.